So, guys, you remember a few weeks ago, the members of parliament from the DA, ACDP, and the Patriotic Alliance went to Israel on a fact-finding mission. And we know that the ANC and other organizations in this country have taken a stand that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. And when you look at the Ramaphosa administration, they taken a step further. They did not just accuse Israel of committing genocide in Gaza, but they took Israel to the International Court of Justice, accusing them of committing genocide, and they basically want Israel to account. And I think this is the reason why there's been so much tension between the Trump administration and this administration of Ramaphosa. This case of Israel being taken to the International Court of Justice. And of course, other matters count, but I think this matter of Israel being taken to the International Court of Justice, it is the most pressing matter. So if Ramaphosa and Trump can actually resolve this matter, I don't think that it is going to be tough to actually resolve other matters, because this one, I think it is number one on the agenda. We know that in 2 weeks, I think President Ramaphosa will be headed to the United States, and I think this is one thing that the Americans actually wants to hear from Cyril Ramaphosa. Why did you take Israel to the International Court of Justice? And if you remember, the people that are in the administration of Ramaphosa, they have actually came out to say that there is no way that we're going to drop that case. You remember the Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, said that there's no other way. There's no other way. Of course, we want to negotiate with the Americans. Of course, we want to sit down with the Americans, but they need to understand that there is no way that we're going to drop this case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. So I guess we will see after the trip of Ramaphosa to the United States. And guys, we remember how controversial this trip was, with the ANC, the EFF, and other organizations basically blasting these members of parliament who went to Israel on the fact-finding mission to say that there was no fact-finding mission for these people. These people are just liars. These people went to Israel to condone the genocide that Israel is committing in Gaza. And what these people did, it is tantamount to treason. And these members of parliament, they need to be held accountable. So there was a lot of debate around that controversial trip. And guys, if you think that matter was done and dusted, then you don't know what the hell you are talking about, because the ANC still wants these members of parliament to actually be taken. They want these members of parliament to be held accountable.
You're watching news at Prime. Let's get into another discussion now. The African National Congress is calling on Parliament to probe the Israeli trip by 10 members of Parliament last month. The party described the trip as shameful and a betrayal of the country's constitutional values. The members of Parliament who went to Israel under the banner of, quote, fact-finding are from the DA, Patriotic Alliance, and the African Christian Democratic Party, or ACDP for short. Now, to react to this, we're joined in studio by the ANC's chairperson of International Relations Committee in Parliament, Supra Maumapilo. Mr. Maumapilo, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, Koli, and to the viewers at home.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
This trip happened last month. Why now?
Well, as soon as the news came out that there are some adventurous members of Parliament who went to Israel, the next day, I think around the 14th of April, I wrote a letter to the Speaker in my capacity as a member of Parliament to write to the Speaker and say, among other things that the Speaker should be looking at, it's did these members go there and create an impression that they are representing the Republic of South Africa in the form of Parliament? That's one. Two.
But they said they went on their own. They said they went on their own capacity. I remember that first article when it came out that they did not go there to represent anybody, but they went there on their own capacity.
Impression that they are representing the Republic of South Africa in the form of Parliament. That's one. Two. Did they go there? And if they went there, which passport did they use? Because you know in South Africa, there are only 400 people who can get an official passport. Those are honorable members in Parliament. And when you're in the executive, the president and the executive, you get a diplomatic passport,
Yes.
and then members of parliament get an official passport. So we said, look at which passport did they use. Thirdly, did they, in their discussion when they went there, include matters pertaining to how Parliament dealt with the matter of Palestine and Israel? And if so, what did they say about that matter when they were in Israel? 4, who paid for their trip? 5, when they went through OR Tambo or any international airport and wherever they were they processed through diplomatic channels? Because you can only be processed through diplomatic channels if you went there to represent Parliament. So the Speaker did assure me, I think there are other members of Parliament who also wrote that we will get the response.
This was on the 14th,
Yeah,
when
the
you
14th
wrote
of
to
April,
the Speaker.
yeah.
14th of April. We're now sitting on the 14th of May. The Speaker hasn't come back to you?
No, the Speaker did write back to say the matter is receiving her consideration. So we're not in a hurry.
The reason I'm pressing you on this is that these members had already made it clear that they went in their individual capacities. They were not sent there by their political parties. So what does it matter that they went there if they say they went in their personal capacities?
Well, the investigation will reveal that. You know,
What a convenient answer, man. And what I don't get is that, so are you telling me that if the ANC is against a certain country, the people in this country cannot go to that country, because if you go to that certain country, then you are seen as treasonous in the eyes of these people from the ANC? I mean, like, to me, it doesn't make any sense, because if you look at what these members of parliament basically did, they are not the only members of parliament that have actually went to Israel to see what is happening in Israel. Other members of parliament throughout the world have actually went to Israel to see what is happening, because many people were starting to lose trust in what the media was reporting about Israel and Palestine and what is really happening between Israel and Gaza. So many politicians have actually taken the trip to Israel, and I guess this is the only way you can get to Gaza, by going to Israel and to try to see for themselves what actually took place. And I don't know why in South Africa we are basically acting like politicians going to Israel to see what is happening there. It is such a controversial thing, whereas the politicians throughout the world have basically went there. They went there. I mean, like you see in the United States, even in the United States, there is a similar debate that is happening in the United States. There are people that are saying, no, Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, and there are people that are saying, no, Israel is not committing genocide in Gaza. And there are people from both sides of the aisles that are going to Israel to see what is actually happening. So this is not new. This is not new. This is something that has been done by politicians ever since that war broke out. This is not new. But if you listen to people like Suprama Pehelo and other politicians in this country, you would actually think that the politicians in this country go in there to see what is happening. It is something new. And the fact that these people, they came back with a report that they didn't like, and this is the reason they are saying that, no, you guys are liars. You guys are liars. And me, like, I find it quite insane. I find it quite insane, because this is not new.
These members who went to Israel, one of the things they say is that they did not see genocide, neither did they see or feel apartheid in Israel. Now, the leader of that delegation that went there is Emma Powell. Emma Powell is in our Committee of International Relations. She's a member of the Democratic Alliance. What is their stance? Their stance officially is that they don't agree with South Africa's position of taking Israel to the International Court of Justice. They don't agree with the posture taken by South Africa, particularly the ANC, in as far as the relationship between Israel and Palestine is concerned, particularly characterization of what is going on in that area as a genocide. So
So, of course, the ANC says what is happening in Gaza, it is a genocide. So, because the ANC has actually taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, it is only fair for us to try to read about the developments of this case to see what the courts are saying. So, in this small article, it says that the International Court of Justice has not definitely ruled that Israel has committed genocide. In January 2024, the International Court of Justice issued provisional measures in a case brought by South Africa, ordering Israel to take steps to prevent genocide in Gaza, punish incitement to genocide, and allow humanitarian aid. The court found that South Africa's claim of plausible violations of Genocide Convention was credible enough to warrant these measures, but it did not include that genocide has occurred. A final ruling on whether Israel has committed genocide is still pending and could take years. Some sources, like the November 2024 article citing legal experts John Quigley, suggest the International Court of Justice is likely to conclude Israel is committing genocide, but this is an opinion, not a court ruling. Other reports, including from Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, claim Israel has failed to comply with the International Court of Justice's order, particularly on humanitarian aid, but these are not equivalent to a genocide verdict. The post on social media reflect divided sentiments. Some assert the International Court of Justice found no genocide and even supported Israel's action, while others interpret the International Court of Justice order as implying genocide. These are opinions, not evidence of final ruling. No international court has conclusively determined that Israel has committed genocide as of last update. The International Court of Justice's ongoing case is the primary legal proceeding addressing this question, but it remains unresolved. It remains unresolved. So even the court that South Africa has actually approached and said Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, they have not concluded whether Israel is committing genocide or not. They have not concluded whether Israel is committing genocide or not. And I think these are things that we should actually think about, especially when we talk about these matters, because you cannot say on one hand that you respect the rule of law, you respect the international law, you are taking the measures into your own hands, but at the same time, you want to conclude that this is what is happening, despite the fact that the courts have not actually came out to say that this is what is happening. So right now, whether the ANC says that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, it is the matter of their own opinion, but it is not something that the courts have actually ruled on.
Of what is going on in that area as a genocide. So they don't agree. Now, they are not different from the 49 Afrikaner voortrekkers who went to the US. So it's a bigger, well-coordinated agenda to try and besmirch the image of South Africa globally.
But you are cherry-picking, I will put it to you. You're cherry-picking and you're picking on the DA. I don't speak for them, by the way, but you have a Patriotic Alliance member who also was part of this trip. You have a Patriotic Alliance leader who is a minister in the government of national unity, who is openly pro-Israel and says there's nothing wrong with supporting Israel to defend itself. So why pick on Emma Powell, who is from the DA, and that very convenient link to the 49 Afrikaners? We'll talk about them in a moment because you're here, but let's answer this question.
I didn't say the rest are excluded, Cody. I simply said the leader of the flock. These are birds of the same feathers, right? When it comes to the matter of Palestine and Israel, they don't care about the genocide that is taking, the maiming of children, of women. I mean, since March this year, people in Palestine have not received medication, no food, deliberately, right? That's the extension and intensification of genocide led by Netanyahu and Israel. Now, they went there and they simply say, we didn't feel apartheid. Where is the humanity? Now, South Africa, we are known as a country that pushes reconciliation. Yeah. That's why we are saying there that Israel and Palestine there must be side by side them living in peace as two-state solution. That's what we are saying. But we cannot allow a situation where, with impunity, people are going to go there and present a different picture and perspective about South Africa. If they go in their individual capacity, the investigation will reveal that. So let's wait for that investigation.
All right, let's quickly then understand the charge, because this is an investigation, and I suppose you want for there to be some kind of corrective action that is taken, because these are members of parliament. I think that is of paramount importance. The Parliament of South Africa voted that the embassy of Israel be closed in South Africa. These are members of parliament who've now gone to that country. You are telling us that some of their words coming back from that trip is that there's no genocide and they did not feel apartheid. So what is it that you will be asking the speaker to say or do?
No, we are not asking the speaker on the resolution we have taken. That resolution is taken. Anyone who wants to review it will have to table the motion afresh in Parliament. It's there. It's not going to change unless they can get the majority to change it. It's with the president and the executive, because it's not Parliament that can implement the decision. The resolution is taken by Parliament. Parliament does oversight on the executive. It is the executive that must implement the resolution. So at the right time, we'll be asking the executive through the Minister of International Relations on why does it seem there's no progress on that particular matter. Now,
but one thing that I don't understand is that, okay, the ANC, maybe with other organizations, they want these members of parliament to be held accountable. Fine. But what is it exactly do they want the executive to do? I haven't heard these people actually say that, okay, these members of parliament, they have betrayed South Africa by going to Israel, because we know that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. And this is what we want the government to do. They haven't come out to say that because these people have committed such a heinous crime and they are treasonous, this is what we want the government to do. They keep going around and talking about the action should be taken, and the Speaker of the Parliament and the executive and the what and Ramaphosa and what, but they are not saying explicitly that this is what must happen. And to me, it is quite confusing. Because I think if they can come out and say, okay, this is what we want to happen to these members of parliament, I think from there it would actually shape a debate into a better direction. And people would actually be able to debate knowing that, okay, this is an outcome that the ANC wants. But right now, they haven't come out to say that this is an outcome that we want, because we believe that these people have committed this crime, and this crime should be punished by this. They haven't said what actually needs to be done. And this is the reason why, I don't want to lie, I find it so confusing. Because I feel like even themselves, they don't know what or how these people actually should be charged or what they should be charged with. But they just feel like, okay, these people have actually taken a position that is against us as the ANC, and we need to do something about it. But they don't know what actually needs to be done. It has been a month since this trip has actually happened. And these people cannot come out and say, this is what we want to happen. Right now, it feels like it is just them and their egos being bruised, and they want something to be done, but they don't know what it is. So how can they actually expect the executive to do something when they themselves cannot even come out to say, this is what we want? Quite confusing.
Now, in as far as their conduct is concerned, I'm concerned that possibly there's a risk that they may have put the name of parliament into disrepute. Because if you're a member of parliament and you go elsewhere, firstly, the office of the speaker has to know that you are going elsewhere in the world. And if you're going to use the official passport, There's all the administrative things that you have to follow. We must inform DERCO that members of parliament are going somewhere. So the Pope can be dance as far as this matter is concerned, and we are not in a hurry. The Speaker is dealing with the matter. We've got confidence in her capacity to deal with this particular matter. I know that there's one member also who yesterday called me and heard that I have written to the Speaker, and I said, yes, it's Advocate Shamim of Al-Jama. I said, oh, I've written to the Speaker on the same thing. So we're not going to leave them.
Yeah.
So again, I would like to hear what the Speaker is going to say about that case of Supra and his wife allegedly siphoning millions and millions from the Gauteng government and them doing business with the state, despite the fact that they are in parliament. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting to hear what the Speaker of Parliament thinks about the members of parliament getting the state contracts worth millions and millions of rands? But I guess, man, I guess this is not what we are focusing on, but we are focusing on the people that actually went to Israel, not on people that allegedly stole the taxpayers' money. I don't know, guys. Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.